Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So as you may or may not have been following, I've just finished this series on how to make a button spine with the original gold foil spine of the Little Golden Books. And I did mention that I was going to show you another method of binding where you still have the original gold foil of the Little Golden Books but with no buttons on top. So something like this, no buttons. So just another way if that's what you want. Now this is an example of one that I've done. It's actually still a little bit wet, but I wanted to show you here. So this is one where I started a while ago, and basically I'm just going over all the pages. So my Little Golden Book of Dogs is going to be all covered with art journaling. So I started on the cover and then I started on the next page, so this was all one. But then I stopped because I really didn't like that original, you know what I mean, this spiny thing. I find that these books, they don't sit very well, when you're in the middle and working, they kind of, they never did sit well. You had to do this. And then I just never found them really easy to work in, so I stopped working in this. But now that I've been able to open the spine, they're quite easy to work in because you could just open and move to your page. So I'm really excited about getting back to do art journaling in this little book. But I was going to show you how to go ahead and bind this. Now there are two ways, and I'll go through both ways for you. This first way, as you can see here, is we've got the spine, so for example, let me show you here. You've got this thick chipboard spine, and then you've got another piece that the signatures bind into, and then you glue them together. And then if I show you, if you remember the Friendly book, I had a pretty piece of paper that covered. So this book doesn't have that, okay? This book couldn't have that because I had worked all the way onto the cover. So let me show you both ways. How to do this one where you just attach the centerpiece to this chipboard, and how to sew into this piece here and have this pretty page covering any of your joins, so you don't really have those joins, if you know what I mean. So let's get started. So I've got two books here. This is the monster at the end of this book. This is Grover, and I've got the Pokey Little Puppy. And I just wanted to show you here that the Pokey Little Puppy, I had already put this down. So see that decorative paper? I had already put that down. So it's got a chipboard piece, and then it's got the decorative paper piece. So now the only thing that needs to be done is to sew the signature pages onto this thin strip, and then glue this whole piece down onto here. Now what is this made of? You can tell this is made of cereal box material, and all I did was added some washi. It's got its holes already here, so the holes are 1 inch from the bottom and 1/4 of an inch in from this side and 1/4 inch from this side. How are the signatures made? The signatures are how I instructed in my first series. So books, the pages were all taken apart, so you had 12 pages, and then what I did was I added pattern paper to each of the pages. So if I can show you really quickly, you've got the pattern paper, you've got the original storybook, and then this is all I did. So on either side I went 1, 2, and then I cut off the excess. Okay, so do it at the very top there. So you just cut it once, 1 there, and you cut off the excess. And then you make your pages match here. Okay, so that's how easy it is to make these. Now with these also, all I have are 12 pages, So I've got 1 to 6 in one signature and 7 to 12 in the other. Now I just wanted to very quickly go through with you, if you're going to do it so that it's 2 signatures, this is how I recommend you to put them together. Alright, so let's start with 1 through to 6. This one goes here. You'll notice, alright, so what I did was I left the tops open so that they, you could slip things in there just for extra real estate there. And what you'll notice is that it'll go 1 page here, double pattern page, and the storybook's on the right, and then it'll flip on the next one. Alright, so there's the double page with the opening. Alright, once again, double page, and then single page. So double, single, double, single, double, single. Alright, and so how it starts is your middle will always be page 3. So when you number your pages, page 3 will always be your middle. Alright, so that starts there. That's the middle page, that's the one most here. Your last page will be the last page, so that'll be page 6. Alright, so page 6 there, that's there. Okay, so if 6 is going to be your last page and 3 is your first, so we're going to go page 4 next. So page 4, and pay attention to where the doubles and the singles are. So the middle, page 3, there's the double, so the next one must be a single, right? And then after that, number 2, page number 2 comes along. There's page number 2. So this is a single page, we'll go on this side, and the double will be here, so double, single, double, single, double, single. After page 2 will be page 5. There's page 5. You're going to have it so that this page 5 is going to be on the right. So single, double, single, double. And then the next one is going to be page 1. This is the original book. Right? So the single page, book page is going to be on the left with the double on the right. And then bring in the last page. And when you close it, it will come up like this. So pokey, so page 1. Right. There's page 2. There's page 3. So 3 is the middle. Number 4. Number 5. And then number 6. So this is if you want the story in perfect reading order. So that's your first signature done. And let's go ahead with the second signature. So once again, I'll hold it here and you can take a picture. Alright, so let's do the same thing. Your middle of the page will be page 9. So there's page 9. Alright, so that's going to be here. So it's the first one to me. The last one is going to be page 12. Right, so that goes here. So then here we go. We've got the single on this side, we've got the double on this side. So the next page that comes after 9 is 10. Alright, there's 10. So we've got the book page on the right hand side and the double on the left. After page 10 there's going to be page 8. Alright, so now the single needs to be on the left hand side. So single, double, single. There's the double, there's the single, there's the double on this side. The next one is number 11. Alright, so the book page, the single page, has to be on the right hand side. And then the last page here, this should be page 7. Yep, 7. Right, and then that's the single page is here. So always make sure that you're alternating single, double, single, double, single. Alright, and then we pick up that last page, which is 12. And then the story will 100% read in order. So there's 7, there's 8, there's 9, there's 10, there's 11, 12, and that's the end of the book. Okay, so this is my method for creating 2 signatures, 12 pages, and then putting it straight into the golden book with the original foil. So in my previous series I showed you how to create the template, so I'm not going to show you how to do that now. In my previous series I also showed you how I bind using the pamphlet stitch. So I'm not really going to show that now, but I'm going to show you the steps. So the first step is go ahead and create this. So alright, so this will be as high as your book, which is about 8 inches. Alright, how wide this is, alright, so this is 3/4 of an inch, and then score, 1 inch, score, and then 3/4 of an inch, score, or cut your paper. So altogether 2.5 inches wide by 8 inches across. Alright, and for this method where you've already placed the piece down, alright, all you're going to have to do is just grab this piece of cereal box, which we will be sewing this into, and then gluing this down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've put all my holes in here. I've created my template. I've put the holes in, so the holes are 1 inch from the bottom and 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom, and then 1/4 of an inch in, 1/4 of an inch in. And they're the same here. 1 inch from the bottom, 1 inch from the top, 1 inch from the top, 1 inch from the bottom, and then half of this. So if this is 8, then the middle is 4. And it should line up with your holes. I am going to start with my last signature. So right now I'm going to get ready to thread my needle. I've got my thread, and in my previous series I also showed you how much thread I used, how I wax my thread, and then basically I am just going to start binding my signatures . Okay, so I always hold my tail. So I'm only just going to sew the signatures into this piece, and then I'll be back when I've sewed them both in, and we'll go from there. Okay, so that didn't take long at all. So we've got now our 2 signatures bound in to this really nice thick cereal, well, not too thick, but the cereal box kind of thickness. And now we are just simply going to go ahead and we are going to glue this in, and then you've got this really, book ready to go, altered little golden book ready to go. Now what I use is sort of a combination of tacky glue and art glitter glue, probably because I don't want to use up too much of my art glitter glue. And this little bottle cost $29.99. So I don't know how much it costs in the States or in the UK, but it's quite expensive. And actually, I can't even get Aleene's tacky glue. This is a bottle that my father-in-law brought with him from Toronto, where we used to live. And so he comes every year, every other year, and so, I can't even get Aleene's tacky glue, so glue is expensive. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. okay, all a matter of just lining it up. And you've got your two wings here to kind of put you in right in center. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Kind of explaining to you as I go. And you just make sure that you're down here and then same here. All right, there might be some oozing. Oozing is good. All you need to do is just spread it in, but don't get it on the pages. And then all you're gonna do is, and you don't have much, but you have enough. So all you need to do is just hold on either side here, 1, 2. Same on this side, just grab onto the little strip, 1 and 2. So those are your areas here. They're held very well. But I find that here, these are not, so see how it's bulking here? See how the glue is coming? Yeah, so that's where it's not good. So this is where you need to bring in your bone folder, and in areas you'll find sometimes that the cereal box like really absorbs the glue and there's not enough glue for contact with the you know, the page underneath it. So as you can see what I'm doing here, all I'm doing is just running my bone folder from the top to the bottom. And then at times you'll see that it's still kind of bowing and it's empty. But this is where good old art glitter glue with its beautiful fine tip comes in. So see how there's just kind of a little bit of a space, and I just put my tip in and I squeeze here. And that's usually enough. And you get a tiny little bead of seepage, which to me is wonderful. Which means that, you know, we're full. There's lots of glue in there and there's enough to create contact and hold it together. Plus you guys know that art glitter glue dries pretty quickly. So we're on this side now, so I haven't done that. So see how it's all gapey? First thing I do is just make sure that that tacky glue gets spread as much as possible. Back and forth, back and forth. And then have a look. Actually, that's pretty good. I think it was all sort of on one side more than the other. So you just keep going. If it's seeping, you know, clean it up as you go. And then just check, and don't need to add here. It's really good. So essentially that is how quickly you can bind. Now once again, make sure your direction is correct, like that the pages are this way and that your book is this way. Alright, so that is one method. So that's the easy method too. Let me, I mean they're both easy. That's the least time consuming. My next book is this one. This is the Grover book. Now, this book, I didn't like this book when I started. I still don't know if I like this book. I mean, I love Grover and Sesame Street, but like the story was kind of like crazy. The story was crazy. Like here it says, "What did you say? On the first page, what did that say? Did that say that there would be a monster at the end of the book?" It did. Oh, I'm so scared of monsters. Anyway, so he freaks out and he creates a wall and he says, "Don't turn the page." "Oh no, you turn the page. I'm gonna create a wall and the monster won't be able to come and get me." You know, Grover style. He freaks you out, like my anxiety. Anyway, so then he goes, "Oh, I'm the monster. Oh, I'm the monster." This is the end, and this is the end of the book, and the only one here is me, lovable monster at the end of the books, and you were so scared. I told you there was nothing to be afraid of. And then he goes, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed." So I went to a paper pack, which like I have hidden under all my paper packs, which I never use. It's a comic strip paper pad. I'll show you. It's this one here, and I think it's one that I bought from Kmart so many years ago, because Creative is a hunter leisure. If you remember, that used to be what you could get at Kmart, but they don't do this anymore. So I bought it, let's say, in 2010, so it's been 10 years, and I have not used a single page. And I thought, you know what, because this book is so crazy, I'm going to use crazy papers. So I used 12 papers out of there, and I just added them in, you know, in the style that I showed you how I add my papers. And it's this loud, really loud book of colors. And but you know what, I'm going to use this as my monster collage book, I think. Now we'll see how it goes. So when I want to use loud colors and just make loud, crazy collages, I might put it into this monster book. And then I think I'm going to start loving this monster book. So that's my plan, okay? So I've got, once again, I've got my 2 signatures, and I'm not going to go through them again, but I'll just put this up so that you know how I ordered the pages. And I'll just do this with you here. This is 1 inch, all right, 1 inch spine by 7 7/8. All right, now I have here, we'll do the same thing. We've got this little piece of paper, 3/4 inch score, 1 inch score, 3/4, cut by 7 7/8. All right, now that's going to be the pretty paper that decorates here. Now I also have the same thing in cereal box formation, okay? And what we could do is you could just cover this, glue this on top of that. So if you remember, I just washi taped this in the last one. Well, in this time, we are going to, you know, cover it with a pretty paper. All right? And then we are going to sew our signatures into this piece, and then we are going to glue both these down. I'm going to add just a bit of this, just the middle section, okay? So that we are aligned. And make sure the holes are there too. Yep. Because can you imagine just trying to bind onto this, you know, the 2 signatures, the 2 heavy signatures being held onto this? It's not going to hold and it will tear. So you need to back up the pretty paper with like a thicker cereal box. However, do you really need, once we've done that, once we've bound the signatures in, I'm wondering if we will not need this flap, and that it's actually going to be quite annoying molding that in here. So we'll get to that stage when we get to it, and kind of I'll make my final decision then. But that is now nicely backed up, and I'm ready to do my sewing into here. Okay, so once again, that really didn't take long at all. And so I'm now at this stage where I have the first little bit of really lightweight pattern paper. Then I've got this chipboard. Underneath there's the binding. And then I've got the really, really thick chipboard here. And we are now going to, so see, just there's a little bit of destruction, I suppose. You know, it's just come away there. Age of the book, how old is this? 1971, renewed 1999. Okay, so what I was saying earlier is, should I just glue this so it's one piece and then just put it in? Or I was thinking of cutting this bit off and then just gluing this. So this is just the pretty, and this is what's going to hold, the centerpiece is what's going to hold my signature in, and then these are just the pretty papers on the outside. I don't think it matters. You could just snip that there along that score line and not have this piece in the end. But I'm just going to leave it on, and I'm going to give you that option to whether or not you want it. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to we'll just run some glue here and do that, and then run some glue here and do that. So that's now one piece. Yeah, perhaps should have done that earlier so that it didn't confuse you, but I just thought I'd give you that option. And now we are going to do the same thing as we did with that first one. So let's go ahead and put a really nice, generous coating of this tacky glue. Remember, I kind of do want it to seep in through here and grab, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that as well. So into the grooves they go, and I'm going to do a really light, just on the flaps here on either side, and just in between in between the binding. I really kind of don't want, I mean, the binding will get covered, I just don't want too much glue to seep into the holes where we did that signature, where I sewed the signature in. And now here all we're going to do is once again just align the score marks here with that. Alright, and we are going to start holding. We're going to start holding it here and holding it here. And I do see that there's a little bit of oozing. We'll get to that in just a minute, but the important thing is just to hold this in place in the right. And what you need to do is just align the score line on this outside piece. See, it's just slipping all over the place, so you just have to be careful. So doing that, put that there, that's good, and that, and put that there. Alright, so once I feel like that's in place, we're now just going to go ahead. We really need to make sure that we burnish this, and then it kind of goes into that little groove there. Okay. Same, so see how that huge gaping happening there? But we're really going to take care of that. So I really want to hold that together and really work the glue into this area here. So I've got some great oozing happening here. See that? It's blowing you glue bubble kisses. So I don't like to touch this stuff, seriously. So let's just clean that up. Make sure I don't get anything on the edges. Alright, so that's good. And then check out this edge here. Once again, a little bit of oozing happening here. And I try to like cake it in, cake it in, cake it in, and just clean it up. And then hold that. Same thing here. Try to really, just with my bone folder here, just go along just that middle part here. Make sure that okay, and then when we bend it when it's wet, it kind of sort of trains it. But you also want to leave it dry, so I might just let it dry, and then we'll start getting to that. Yeah, so see, that's lifted the whole thing up. That's what I was worried about. There's just not enough glue there. I use my art glitter glue. Oh, there's just like way too much cardboard. Way too much cardboard. Which is why I sort of got that feeling of just putting the paper in the flaps. That's okay. I think we can still work it. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's hold this. I'm going to give it about an hour. Come back and assess. So it's been a couple of hours now, and I've let this dry. I'm here to take a look and assess how that gluing looks pretty good. And now all we really need to do, it's really stiff here, so we are going to have to train it to close. Just feels like a big wad of cardboard here that it has to go through. So I think just very carefully have to train it to close. Send this down into the valley. And I think we'll get there. Looks good. All right, so yeah, there you have it. Those are those two books done. Nothing on the spine, and you have sewn in 2 signatures on each. And you got to use some papers that you wouldn't normally have used, which is always a bonus. I put washi in between as well. Didn't do that on this one. Just used washi on that spine piece there. So I hope I've given you some ideas. Go ahead and give these a go. A lot of fun, really, a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I'll see you in my next video.